Hello everybody and welcome to Oulton Park. The Radical Race Series reaching its final third, round 9 here from the northwest-ish of England. It's great to be along once again. Don't worry, you're not going absolutely crazy. James Parfitt is alongside me, but it is me, Ewan O'Leary, taking over league comms for today. We'll see how it goes for tonight's race. Very excited though to be along once again on a Thursday night for Radical Race Series action. Always exciting. James, we always love being here, and I have to say I do enjoy Oulton Park. They've removed the chicanes as well. It's quite a frighteningly fast circuit now.
Yeah, it is. Without them chicanes, you're going to be running up from Shell Oils right the way up to Knickerbrook, and we can go on board with Jamie Bird, who's literally at that part of the circuit. And it is going to be just a straight run. And I think this is where this could be causing problems with overtakes, Ewan, to be honest. I don't know if you're going to get the draft to get out the inside of Knickerbrook, because it's definitely going to be a tough one.
Yeah, well, my concern is I don't know where they're going to overtake at all, which is the problem, really. You see how fast it is at Knickerbrook there. Fourth gear, Jamie Bird just throws it in and hope that the car clings on throughout. It's going to be a very, very important race, though, because the championship standings are looking very, very tasty indeed. We have only 4 rounds to go of this 12-round season, and John McCutcheon currently has the championship lead. 1 point ahead of Luke Maxwell, who's both of them actually trying to become 2-time champions of this series. Sam Edwards trying to make this his 5th title, but he's 6 points back now. Dan Webster at risk, really, of falling away and falling out of contention. Needs a big round here today at 25 points back. Then Paul LeMay has really got a lot of work to do there, 73 points back with 4 rounds to go. Could probably say anybody outside the top 5 too far at this point. Mike Booson's heroics from last season probably won't be repeated. Paul Clark, Robert Woodward, James Child and David Rolliston round out the top 10. A nice consistent season from Martina Ward sees her equal with Seth Brown for 11th. Darryl Taylor just a few points ahead of Jamie Bird, who we just went on board with. Phil Glover is 15th. Then it's Jamie G, Graham Brown, Sergio De La Cruz, who hasn't been here for that many races, to be honest, but has racked up quite a few points. Colin Wynn has been away for quite a few weeks now, hoping to see his return ASAP whenever he can get back onto the grid. A couple of times champion Paul Crabb is 20th. David Ward, Graham Brown have been here for a couple of rounds, so has David Beasley, Jorge Gonzala, Phil Jocelyn, Andrew Derrick, Austin Greterex have all been here. We've been under down, still waiting for an appearance from him so far this season, unfortunately. I don't know when exactly that is going to be, if at all, but we'd love to see Ben on the grid whenever we can. It's getting pretty important now, though, James. Final third of the season, 4 rounds to go, and Luke Maxwell is coming into a great little bit of form at the moment. He's just winning races left, right and centre.
Yeah, I think for the standing situation, it's going to be a great run-in. You know, as we said, when we get into Nords, it's going to be a different scenario. You know, we talked about it last week and how obviously the winner going into Nords can't be caught, unfortunately. But in the meantime, it's how that front 4 really kind of placed themselves, how Maxwell, Edwards, Webster and McCutcheon places themselves for that run into Nords, and I think that's going to be the exciting thing. And we've had what can be only deemed, as we've talked about before, one of the best seasons we've had here. This heat sprint feature format has been absolutely incredible. The endurance thrown into the mix as well has really done it an absolute no-end amount of favours, to be honest. And I think from our point of view, with the races to go at Silverstone, Brands Hatch and Nords, I think we're going to be in for an epic run-in to the final race of the season.
We certainly are. And by the way, just to clarify, by the way, what James was referring to there in terms of championship leader can't be caught, that only applies at the moment to Simon Edwards and John McCutcheon. If one of those two enter the Nordschleife round at the end of the season with the championship lead, then they can't be caught, because one of their drop rounds currently is more points than you can score at an endurance round. John McCutcheon currently would drop 42 points if he was to have a bad round here. And Sam Edwards 41, and you get 40 for a race win at the Nordschleife. So unfortunately they wouldn't be able to be caught, but Luke Maxwell could be caught with a bad round at the final one. Could be caught by anybody, and Dan Webster could be caught as well if he goes into the final round with a championship lead, and there he is right now. So it is all up in the air. But it's one of the things with this format, really. The drop rounds has kind of made things a little bit complicated. We kind of know the score with the drop rounds now. I have to say it's made it very, very close indeed. To have 3 drivers separated by 6 points is amazing, but also the prospect of having Edwards or McCutcheon with this title wrapped up before the final round is not as good of a prospect, unfortunately. And I'm kind of hoping that doesn't happen, really, because it would be a bit of an anticlimax to, as you said, has been a great season. Oh dear.
Then again, that weren't as bad as the one we saw earlier on from Robert Woodward, was it? It was quite... That was tame compared to the one we saw earlier.
Absolutely unbelievable, by the way. We weren't on air, but me and James were off air talking and watching the practice session rolling on. It was an enormous crash. I couldn't believe my eyes, to be honest. It was up here at Knickerbrook. I think that is going to be the most difficult corner on the circuit, though. It's coming after a long... it's not... A lot of it's straight, but it's not. But it's a long, flat-out section anyway, with a bit of a curve in it. And then you don't really have much of a braking zone. You're flying into Knickerbrook there. I mean, we are going to see some big accidents there if someone gets it wrong. Yeah,
they've only got to run wide. You've only got to touch that front left of the car on that grass, and there's just no control of it. As we saw with that Robert Woodward one, he got a little bit out of shape, hit the grass, done. He was gone. It was in the barrier, flipping around, doing all sorts of lovely pirouettes as if he was in a ballet gym. But, I think that corner alone, they've got to get right the first 2 or 3 laps, give their tyres time, let them warm up, get the grip going. Island as well, coming into where Island is now. They've only got to run wide out there, and you're into the tyre barrier. They've got to be careful for the first few laps here, because there are parts of this track that if they run off, they're going to be in the wall, in the tyre barrier or on the outside, and that's one of the things they've got to be careful.
Well, I think this is where the problem's going to come in the reverse grid race as well. We mentioned that there's no room for error around here. It's quite narrow. The overtaking opportunities are slim at best. So I'm really not sure where the overtakes are going to come from. And I'm kind of looking up to the previous races in this season for some comparisons. Maybe Bathurst in terms of, not being able to overtake, but down at the bottom of the circuit you can overtake at Bathurst. I think this could end up being the trickiest reverse grid we've actually got all season long, and the championship contenders have got a huge day. The points obviously mean that it's a huge day anyway, but the track just means that it is a huge day in the championship for anybody looking to come through the field again in that reverse grid race. Yeah, definitely.
I think the thing with Oulton, and we look at this circuit, and the likes of Maxwell, Edwards, Webster, there's no McCutcheon at the moment, which I am surprised about, considering he was talking earlier that he was going to be here. They've only got to position their cars almost to the middle of the circuit, and you're putting doubt in the driver's head behind them. They can't quite decide which way they're going to go, because there isn't anywhere really can go. And that run from here, from Shell Oils, right the way round, all the way to the last corner, there's just no way you would take a dive that's going to be safe. You've got to be looking maybe down into Lodge, the last corner, possibly down into Cascade if you can get a decent run out of Old Hall. But other than that, I can't really see where people are going to make the moves.
No, I can't either. It's going to be a very, very difficult race. Now, I know we don't normally do this, and I hope you don't mind, James, but I want to bring Phil Glover in for a pre-race interview. He's just leaving the pit lane now, so I'm hoping we're not going to disturb him very much. Phil, can you hear us? Are you with us? I'm sorry to surprise you, maybe a little bit.
Yeah,
here, this afternoon. Yeah, I wanted to chat to you a little bit pre-race, really about what's going to go on. How are you are you enjoying this circuit? Are you not enjoying it? How are you feeling going into it?
I absolutely love this circuit. Interestingly, it takes quite a bit to get the tyres warmed up on this track. So the first lap or so is going to be a bit of a challenge, and I think qualifying obviously will be as well.
And I have to agree with you, to be honest, it is a nice circuit to drive. But what about driving with other people? Are you going to be able to overtake anybody at this circuit? Is it going to be a case of following the leader for a lot of the race? What's the situation going to be with regards to actually making overtakes?
Well, yeah, that's going to... I think there's a lot on setup, isn't there? You could take the view that if people can't pass you very easily, then you might as well have the speed down the straight. So Yeah, whether people will be running low wings or not, I'm not sure.
Well, let's see. Phil, sorry to disturb you on your practice at the moment.
No.
Good luck for the race. We look forward to talking to you afterwards.
Yeah, no, always welcome speaking to you. Take care. See you later.
Phil, just one quick question is, James, who's the person on the front of the car? Phil?
Yeah?
Who's the man on the front of your car?
I don't know. I'm having a look now. I'm in VR. I'll have to get out to have a look, and that's dangerous on the track, isn't it?
Yeah, don't do that, mate. Well, when you figure it out, let us know. We'll have a chat with you a bit later. But you take care, Phil, and have a good one.
Yeah, see you later.
There is a man on the front of his car, isn't there?
There is, right?
There
I'm not imagining this.
No, you aren't. But who is that?
I don't know. I can't get any closer, unfortunately.
Oh, right, yeah. Okay, well, he sounds as baffled as we do, to be fair. Phil didn't know either. So anyway, but he did highlight an interesting point, actually, that we hadn't spoken of yet. It's just what wing are you going to go for here? Because traditionally, if you're just doing a hot lap competition, you would really put the wings up for this one and put a lot of downforce on. But if you do that, you're not going to be able to overtake, or have people decided they're not going to overtake anyway, so they might as well have the downforce. It's a real almost mind game you've got going into this with car setup.
What do we think, right? Because of the fact that obviously, it's difficult to overtake, are you going to look at running that high downforce wing to stay in contact with people in front? We know Simon Edwards likes a good little skinny wing every now and then, so I'm expecting that's probably what he's going to be running. But what do we think of everybody else? Are they going to wait for mistakes, Ewan? Is that the situation, you reckon?
I think they might have to, really, with a circuit like this. We heard it from Phil Glover. I just presumed it myself, really, that it was going to be really difficult. So, I think it is going to be a case of waiting for mistakes. But mistakes are never far away at this circuit, as we've seen so far. The grass lines this track, and it's very, very punishing indeed. It is actually, by the way, this is irrelevant information entirely, but it is actually the closest circuit to where I live. Although I've only been once, it's a very good one to spectate from. You can see quite a lot of the circuit, unlike some other circuits in the UK, which are not as good in terms of spectating from the actual circuit. So I'd thoroughly recommend it if you're in the UK and you're knocking about. Especially on Easter weekend, where there's a lot of racing around here. I don't know if you've seen it, James, but it's a great weekend of racing. Hoping to go this year, because you can see a lot of the circuit, and there's a lot of racing to be had on Easter Monday at Oulton Park. It's a great weekend.
I haven't, but there is a plan.
Well, miles away, to be fair.
Yeah,
I don't blame you.
I am miles away, but there is a plan. I've got Yvonne Huffler, who drives the Team Brit. Her and her partner are doing some races around the UK on certain circuits. So I'm hoping to go up and meet up and join them, basically. We did some media work before up in Silverstone with them. So we're hoping to join up and maybe get a little bit more media work done and have a bit of a chinwag. So they're out on the circuit as well this year. So I might try and get up and have a look. I've never been to Oulton Park. I've been obviously to Silverstone.
Yes.
But that's probably, I think, thinking back, my only real UK circuit I've been to.
Wow, that's quite... Well, I guess living in the middle of the country, nothing's too far away, actually. But yeah, it's... wow, I'm surprised about that, I've got to be honest. But there we are.
Unless you're counting go-karting circuits, and then I've been...
Oh, not really, no.
Oh, right. Why are they not circuits for you, Ewan?
Well, yeah, they are sort of circuits, but I mean, like, proper... big race circuits. Well, I guess you could argue Oulton Park's not a big race circuit, could you? I suppose if you're being really snobby about it. But yeah, I don't know. Anyway, it's a great circuit. Anyway, you should visit if you ever get a chance visiting in. That's the moral of that story. That took longer than it should have. Anyway, qualifying's underway. Quarter of the way through. 3-lap format as always. Drivers get 3 laps. And interesting to note that John McCutcheon is here. I did also see the same message that you did about him being able to maybe even practice more than normal. But clearly that's not happened, or at least it's not happened on our practice servers. But as ever, it doesn't really seem to matter. He's setting purple sectors everywhere right now.
Yeah, he's flying along. He seems to be able just to turn up and rock on, and he's gone into pole on a 118. He's got 7 tenths. I think it's near enough 8 tenths quicker than Edwards, and 2 tenths quicker than Maxwell, and the times are coming in thick and fast currently at the moment. But Maxwell, Webster, McHutchison. So that's your top 6 with Rolleston, Clark and Edwards, which would be nice.
Yeah, I think Edwards has had a bit of a mistake on that lap. He must have done, because in practice he wasn't that far away from the likes of Webster and Maxwell. And it is a surprise to see him there. But just how close... We have seen such a good season this time around, not just because of the format, but because we've got 4 contenders for this championship. I mean, this is my 4th season of this championship now, I'm pretty sure. And I've never seen a championship quite like this. It's going right down to the wire. After 8 rounds, for it to still be this close between this many drivers, it really has not been seen before for at least a year. So absolutely fantastic to see such close competition in the Radical Race Series. John McHutchison once again going to try to extend maybe his pole position right now. His provisional pole, he's got a couple of purple sectors in there, but has been going slower in a couple of them as well. It's going to be a very quick fire session here actually, as Simon Edwards just jumps up, making it even closer, but John McHutchison just goes a little bit faster as well.
Yeah, he does. He picked up 2 tenths. Maxwell's gone into pole though. 118.034. We're nearly at the 117 mark. Are we going to hit it tonight? What do we reckon, Ewan? Are we going to hit that?
Yeah, I think so. Before qualifying, I would have said no, actually. But now, given that the second lap pace is already in the 18 zeros for Maxwell, I'm very confident that one of them, if not more than one, will be able to get into the 17s over the line. I think that's Darrell Taylor, who's just slipped into 13th position. It is. And Paul Crabb and Mike Booston with good lap times there as well. They're making it even closer inside the top 4 right now. There's the 2-time champion Paul Crabb. First 2 titles he took as well. The first 2 championships of this series, by the way. As Simon Edwards is going to be the first of the main contenders, first of the top 6, the big 6 if you like, to come over the line to end this qualifying session. As I mentioned, really quick fire. It's a short circuit and there's not much time to really think about your strategy going into this one. Just drive as fast as you can for about 4 minutes, and that will be the end of his session. Simon Edwards, 5th right now, but could well jump up. It will be 2nd for Simon Edwards, an 18-1, but John McHutchison goes even quicker. Luke Maxwell has been pushed off the top, but how long will it be for? Not very long. What a session this is. Luke Maxwell into the 117s as well. John McHutchison must have thought he had it, or he was nearly over the line anyway. But Luke Maxwell just snatches it from him. The most informed man on this grid right now takes pole position by the looks of things, unless Mike Booston or Paul Crabb can have something to say about it. Booston looks like he's going a little bit slowly into the final corner, but Paul Crabb certainly not. Let's see where he can get to over the line. It's not... Oh, it's going to be 3rd. He just slides in front of Edwards, but not quite ahead of Maxwell and McHutchison. What a session that was. I really thought McHutchison had it. He might have thought it as well, but it's Luke Maxwell.
Oh, we're going, oh, that's going to be easily done coming out there. It was just getting quicker and quicker, weren't they? Maxwell, McHutchison and Edwards and Crabb. The Booston popped up in there. Dan Webster, though, down in 6th place. That's going to be an interesting one for Dan to see how he comes through on that one, because you know we know he's naturally quick anyway and generally moves through. The problem is everybody seems to be loving Oulton Park, Ewan, and everybody's in front of him who is just as quick as him. So I think that top 6 battle, wow, that's just going to be going off. I think it's going to be unbelievable.
It is going to be unbelievable, and we might even see the likes of Martina Ward involved. It's a great qualifying from her in 7th place. David Rolleston's there in 8th. James Charles there 9th, and Darrell Taylor your top 10 right now, although Taylor's still got a lap to go, I think. So has Robert Woodward, Phil Glover and Sergio De La Cruz as well. Here's Darrell Taylor in the Skipples livery. One of my favourites in the field, I have to say. Not least because it's so identifiable. Over the line for Taylor, and he jumps up to 8th place now with a nice little lap time right at the end. Robert Woodward should be done with qualifying here, and he is. Sergio De La Cruz is going to be the last driver to come across the line. That 121.2 is not representative of where he actually is, I would argue. He was the one who had that slide out the final corner, actually, wasn't he? One lap ago. So nice and tidy through the final corner this time, through Lodge Corner. And he's over the line into, well, he's still 18th by the looks of it, but I think he must have gotten off track because he did improve there, but it didn't register, so it must have been an off track for him. But an exciting qualifying session. Dan Webster in 6th, as you mentioned, he is going to have work to do from there, and I do fear for his championship a little bit as well, really, because at 25 points back this late on, he's in danger of falling out of contention, really.
I think, but they've got to try and stay focused, right? They've got to pick their moments, haven't they? You can't be Hail Marying it down the inside at Cascades or down on that run down in the Shell Oils or somewhere on the track. That's not going to be ideal, And I think they've got to be very, very careful. And I'm really looking forward to this. And Paul LeMay is in YouTube chat as well. And he's put even in what an exciting qualifying session it was, wasn't it,
It certainly was. But when are we going to see you on the track again, is the question, really. It's great to have drivers in the chat, by the way, when they're not driving. But we do want to see you on the track as well. So we'll see when that is for Paul LeMay over the next few weeks. A few seconds to go here in qualifying, but it's not really. Well, nobody's allowed to set any more times now. Everybody will have set their 3 for the session, and so that will be it in the positions that they're in. I have to say, I think we say it every week, but I'm once again impressed by John McCutcheon's pace with the lack of practice. And although I'm not convinced he hasn't been practicing on his own server somewhere else, that might just be a vicious rumour I'm starting. But he's certainly practicing on this server.
No, he definitely wasn't. He did say he was going to be, right? I read that, right? He did say he was going to be.
I read that as well.
Yeah, so maybe he just, as you say, jumped in somewhere else and did a little cheeky practice on his own, didn't want to show his real pace. But whatever it is, the Scotsman has put it on the second place. And we've got an Englishman, a Scotsman and an Irishman in the top 3. So there we go. Don't get to say that very often, but the grid is on the screen.
Yeah, here it is, Luke Maxwell with the pole position, not far ahead of John McCutcheon, 2-time champion Paul Crabtree, alongside 4-time champion Simon Edwards on road 2. Then it's Mike Booson and Dan Webster. Martina Ward with a great qualifying for 7th. Then it's Darrell Taylor, David Roddiston and James Charles, your top 10. Paul Clark and Seth Brown will share row 6 with Robert Woodward and Damien G just behind. Jamie Bird 15th, Phil Glover 16th, Phil Jocelyn and Sergio De La Cruz to round out your 18-car grid. I do hope they all get through the first couple of corners cleanly. We've got 10 laps here, by the way. Not a long sprint race. It's going to be a bit of a dash, really. And I hope it stays clean for the most part.
Yeah, I think that's got to be that's got to be the first goal, right? Is for it to be clean, because otherwise, people's races aren't going to last long. And I don't think these guys are, as we know. That's silly. They're not going to go and stack it in the wall on turn 1. And I think that's the thing. They've got to be a little bit careful.
They certainly do. Let's see as the lights come on. Oh, dear. Paul Crabb has gone for an early one, and John McCutcheon barely got going there at all. A dramatic start already as the lights go out at Oulton Park. Luke Maxwell will be counting his lucky stars right now because he's got a bigger lead than he could have dreamed of. Coming out of turn 1, Simon Edwards will be second ahead of Dan Webster. Then Darrell Taylor's up to 4th. What the hell's gone on there? Then it's Mike Booson, Roniston, Charles Clark, then John McCutcheon with such a good qualifying, just never got going off the start there.
No, he did not make a move. I think the problem is there were so many people that looked like they jumped that start. Oh, McCutcheon.
Oh, there he is. Oh, off the road. Oh, no. Such a shame for John McCutcheon, and now he really has got work to do.
Yeah, I'm just thinking that there may have been so many people that jumped the start there that everybody got a little bit confused what was going on, because Crabb not only jumped it, but he actually went. So, there we go.
Oh, side by side between Booson and Taylor. That's unbelievable. I didn't think we were going to see that all day, and we've seen it on the first lap. Taylor has held on to 3rd place. The 3 championship contenders are able to get away 1, 2, 3 right now. And what a dream it is to have McCutcheon so far down. Of course, they wouldn't have wished bad upon anybody. but now that they're in the situation, they've got to grasp it. All three of them back in the pack. Jamie Bird making places, 4 up on his first lap, but some of these further down the field have really picked up the pieces from some mistakes further up. I do wonder as well how many drive-throughs we're going to see early on in this one. Paul Crabb's certainly one of them.
Yeah, he definitely is. That was definitely one. I'm sure there's got to be more than that, because I'm pretty sure there was more people that possibly jumped that then. They looked like there was a good few people. Gainers and losers are on the left-hand side. You can see it there. Child up 4. McCutcheon down 14, but that's because he went off at the island there as well. And there's Simon Edwards battling away with Dan Webster, currently in 2nd and 3rd place.
Nobody has an answer for Luke Maxwell, who is just on fire right now in this championship. 1 point behind McCutcheon at the start of the day. 5 points ahead of Simon Edwards. He could extend that to 8 if the race were to end right now, but thankfully for us, it's not going to. There's still 8 laps after this one as they go through Knickerbock for the 2nd time here this evening. It's single file, starting to calm down a little bit, but Jamie Bird isn't calming down at all. He's looking for a move on Robert Woodward up the inside into Druid's corner. You don't see this very often. Side by side, the two of them give each other great respect, with Phil Glover watching on from behind and maybe getting involved as well. Decides not to. You really do need to respect one another around this circuit if you want to fight like they just did.
Yeah, you can't do that if you're going to go and door bang into each other. You've got to be so careful that you're respectful, you're leaving room, because it's not an easy circuit. We were expecting this. We said, where are they going to do it? Where are they going to make their passes? They've got to put it in the middle of the road. They've done that. They've managed to make it through, and it's been respectful so far.
I think there may have been an incident between Phil Jocelyn and Martina Ward, quite possibly, because they found themselves further down than a good 5 or 6 seconds down on where they were before, and Martina Ward trying to make up for lost time now up the inside into turn 4, and she has got that done now up to 15th position, as Robert Woodward has an issue at turn 5. Down at the hairpin, the banked hairpin, Robert Woodward has been off, possibly in a similar fashion to what John McCutcheon was in the opening lap of this race. He was heading this group and had the pressure being applied by Jamie Bird. Was he pushed into a mistake by Jamie Bird, or did he make it all on his own? Or was it another combination of those two things? Well, we'll find out shortly, but one thing's for certain, he's back down in 16th place.
Yeah, we can have a look now at the Martina Ward, Phil Jocelyn, then jump forward to Robert Woodward.
Here we go. So, McCutcheon's involved here as well, I think, down the inside of Phil Jocelyn. And Martina Ward tries to follow McCutcheon through. Didn't quite come off at Martina, to be fair to her, just waited up there, which is the right thing to do.
Yeah, and this is what happened to Robert. We're just going down into Cascades. We think it's going to be on the run down Shell Oils. I got a funny feeling, though. As you said, Ewan, it looks like it could possibly be all on his own.
Yeah, it doesn't look great for him at the moment. He might have found the wall here as well, I think, at some point. Here he goes, flies into turn 4, as you do, and into 5. Brakes quite late, locks up into the gravel. Oh, and he's found the wall there as well. You often do. The barrier really not very far away from you when you're down at the hairpin there. So he's found the wall as Darrell Taylor's off at Knickerbock. The fastest corner on the circuit. Everybody gains a place as Darrell Taylor finds the wall in a big way.
Yeah, he definitely does. I've got a funny feeling there. We may be looking at that Robert Woodward incident like we saw earlier on there as well. But Rolleston here with James Child. Rolleston goes up the inside of Lodge there. We'll have a look back at that Darrell Taylor one very shortly, Ewan, but it looks like we've got 5 laps remaining and it's all starting to get a little bit more spicy.
It's so spicy in this race right now. 4th position, the battle for 4th place is looking very interesting indeed. How has Simon Edwards found himself here as well? We must have missed that, but it might have been involved with Darrell Taylor. Mike Booson was there as well, Dan Webster as well. All of them suspects, possibly, in this case. Let's see if we can acquit them or not, if we continue the analogy. Darrell Taylor, though, this is his off. He finds the grass himself. That was the previous lap, so he has been clearly pushing the limits on laps previous. Unfortunately, this time he's going too fast, isn't he? You can see that from a long way out. He's not even nearly made the corner there. Oh, goodness me. big hit on the wall, bodywork everywhere. We haven't quite got our answer with Simon Edwards just yet, but we certainly do with Darryl Taylor. That's big damage there. Here's Simon Edwards. It's turn 5 again. And a really difficult one, and he's found the wall fairly significantly there as well. So a big day in the championship, a huge day. Luke Maxwell's up the road winning this race, while Simon Edwards and John McHutchinson are scrapping for points right now, scrapping for singular points here or there.
Yeah, definitely. McHutchinson's battling away with Phil Glover currently at the moment, and Seth Brown. That's going to be no way through. Oh, Phil is off.
Oh, and he's found the wall as well in quite a big way. We have seen a lot of drama and a lot of incidents so far in this race. Top 10 get reversed afterwards, of course. John McHutchinson has found his way back into there. Simon Edwards is going to benefit from it a little bit as well right now, but this is a good recovery, all things considered, from McHutchinson, who was about 17th at the end of lap 1.
Yeah, he definitely was. He dropped all the way down the order. This is Woodward and Jocelyn having a good old scrap as well. Jocelyn, of course, involved with that Martina Ward one. Then we got David Rolliston, James Child.
Oh, my word. James Child on the grass, trying to make his way through in towards Knickerbrook. Then there is John McHutchinson, who has got through on Seth Brown now on the way out of turn 5. And on the kind of roller coaster run up the hill. Got it done before Knickerbrook, though, which is very ideal, really, given how we've seen that corner so far. Battle is for 4th place, though. This is where the train is coming from, and this is where Simon Edwards finds himself.
Yeah, he's right in the mix here. I think the interesting thing is, from a race, from the feature race, top 10 reverse, you know, you're going to have McHutchinson there, who's just made a move past Seth Brown. Brown is trying to come back on the inside of turn 1. No, nothing given at the moment. But at the moment, McHutchinson's going to be in 2nd, Edwards is going to be in 4th. So, in an ideal way, they kind of want to stay where they are, I would have thought, to try and maximise their feature race, would they not?
Yeah, possibly, but it's the toss-up, really, because you do want the points as well, which is the difficult part of it. As Robert Woodward tries to find his way down the inside of Phil Jocelyn. And Dan Webster's not exactly done with Luke Maxwell yet either. We're about 3/4 of the way through this one now, we're coming up to that. But he gained 1.1 seconds on the last lap. Dan Webster did a 17.9 on that previous lap. A really fast lap. Maxwell was not exactly going slowly in the with a 19.0. But Webster's closing here just a little bit, and maybe that conversation for the race win's not quite done yet.
No, I think that we've got, well, we got 7, we've got 3.5 to go. Busson's in third, Rolliston's 4th, battling away. He's got that train behind him of Gerald, Clark, Edwards, Bird. And McHutchinson's going to be coming into it about 2.5 seconds back. Maxwell, though, kind of responds to that and pulls out nearly 3 tenths on him. So I don't think we're done, but I don't know if Maxwell's managing the gap more than Webster's pushing up to him, I think.
Yeah, maybe Maxwell is managing the gap, because that was the fastest lap of the race so far there from Luke Maxwell, as Seth Brown once again is going side by side towards turn 1, this time with Damien G. I'm not sure how he's found himself there, but he has dropped a couple of seconds off the back of McHutchinson, the championship leader, as it's once again side by side through this corner, proving quite popular. Phil Jocelyn and Robert Woodward on this occasion. Woodward's going to find himself with the inside line at turn 3 here, which should give him the place. The long looping left-hander downhill at Cascades, and he has got the place now. Into 12th place he goes. Sergio De La Cruz closing in behind. This is where the group is, though. This is where Simon Edwards kind of needs the points, kind of needs the reverse grid to benefit him as well. A very awkward position he finds himself in right now.
Yeah, it's a tough one for him at the moment, because we know who's in front, right? We know it's Paul Clark. We know it's very tough to pass, and Paul Clark on a circuit that's tough to pass anyway is going to make it even tougher to pass. So I think Edwards has really got to pick his moment here with Clark. Clark's not going to roll over and get his belly tickled. He's going to put it up the stoutly defences. So from Edwards' point of view, maybe for the next lap and one more after, this may be all he can get.
Possibly. I think Edwards will try and make this move, though. I don't think he'll be thinking about that second race just yet. He's not going to lay it all on the line here, but he is going to just exercise a little bit of caution, especially towards turn 5, where of course he went off before. And you've got to wonder as well whether the damage is affecting him. I hope we get to speak to him after the race, or after the event, I suppose. to see if the damage is really affecting him in this race, because it wasn't an insignificant hit on the wall.
No, it definitely wasn't. He went in face first, didn't he, almost? There was no hands there as he falls to the floor. He went in and hit it. So from his point of view, he's got to be doing something to his car. Maybe that damage is causing him to lose top end, or something off it. But all in all, he's just not being Simon Edwards, is he? We wouldn't expect him here to not be able to make that game round Clark. But then you throw Clark on a difficult circuit, this is what you've got.
We wouldn't expect him here in the first place, really.
No.
But we have done. It's a bizarre situation we do find ourselves in on board as we get the white flag, if you like, in America. But the last lap, 10 out of 10. And it's been a 10 out of 10 race so far. Side by side between Crab and Jocelyn. Poor Crab there, recovering from his drive-through, of course. He's not quite going to make the top 10. Who is going to make the top 10, though? Damien G versus Seth Brown. This is a very, very important battle for pole in race 2, effectively.
Yeah, these guys are obviously pole position, aren't they? So from their point of view, one of them's going to be, one of them's going to be in 11th. So I don't want to see Brown send it, because that's just not cricket, right? I don't want to see him send it and punt him off. But at the same time, where's that going to end? And hopefully we'll get these guys to run down to Knickerbrook before we go back to our leaders. It's just coming round Druids, I believe, Ewan. So it's going to be an interesting one.
Just coming up to Lodge Corner at the minute, actually, is Luke Maxwell with a couple of seconds worth of a lead. Damien G is going to get sent here by Brown, who makes the move on the inside at Knickerbrook, but they both nearly go off. Seth Brown goes off more into the wall, and 10th place is going to go to Damien G. Meanwhile, Luke Maxwell's going to take another important win. He cannot be stopped in the Radical Race Series right now. He takes it by a couple of seconds over Dan Webster, who's had a good race there. Mike Booson back on the podium here in third, head of Rolleston and Child, your top 5. A very important race, a very important win for Luke Maxwell.
Yeah, and it was, as we said, Edwards behind Clark. He didn't get anything. He couldn't get anything out of Clark to get the position. So, he was kind of stuck there, wasn't he? And that's what roughly we predicted would happen, and whether or not he was going to be able to make the move.
Well, I have to say that has now swung the championship massively in Luke Maxwell's favour. Now he has an advantage of 12 points, I believe. At this stage in the season, he does indeed. But what can McCutchinson reply with a front row start here in race 2? Darrell Taylor will have to lick his wounds, I'm afraid, and come from the back of the field in race 2 as well, as will Seth Brown, who will be starting alongside him on row 8 for the second race. I have to say, a great battle and a clean battle, I'm glad to say, between Damien G and Seth Brown. It's just a shame that Seth Brown ended up in the wall there, really.
Yeah, it was definitely a tough one. Zach's got it right. These cars with this little margin for error, no one is scared to chuck it side by side. You're right, they're not. But at the same time, that side by side has caused Brown to go and hit the wall and potentially lose 10th place. He had to send it. We knew he had to send it. But did he do it in the right place? Could he have waited till Lodge at the end? Maybe.
Well, hindsight's a wonderful thing, I guess. Luke Maxwell with the victory, though. A couple of seconds ahead of Dan Webster. Mike Booson on the podium again after holding off the likes of David Robertson, James Chow, Paul Clark. They were all there. Simon Edwards included as well in 7th place. Jamie Bird splitting 2 of the championship contenders. John McCutchinson, just about got there, but finishes in 9th to drop to 2nd in the championship. Then it's Damien G and Robert Woodward just missing out on the reverse grid there, unfortunately. Paul Crabbe recovered to 12th after his drive through. Phil Jocelyn 13th, just getting home ahead of Sergio Dela Cruz, who was really marching at the end of that race. Seth Brown, unfortunately, found himself on the wall at the end. He finished 15th. Darrell Taylor was in the wall a little bit earlier. He finished 16th. Martina Ward and Phil Glover ending up laps down in that race. Well, that was only 10 laps. And it was very attritional, very chaotic, messy at times as well, but very enjoyable, I have to say. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And now the reverse grid, I feel like it could even go up a notch from what we've just seen.
Oh, I think this is just going to go off. I really do. I don't think we're going to have time for replays. I've got to be honest. I think there's going to be so much going on with the likes of Webster coming through, Maxwell coming through, Edwards already being in the middle, McCutchinson being on the front row. you've kind of thrown them all into a pot now, and you're just not quite sure how they're going to come out, because that's what the feature race is at the moment. They're all jumbled up. Nobody's where we expected them. We didn't expect Hutchinson down in 10th. We didn't expect Edwards in the middle. We didn't, Maxwell and Webster we thought would be in that reverse, but we didn't put them in the mix. We thought they'd be in the mix with the others, and they're just not. And it's going to be, I don't know. Good luck, basically.
Yeah, put all the names in a hat, jumble them around for a bit, put your hand in, and pick out a winner, because that might be what we're about to see, if I'm honest. Let's see, though. Damien G earned the right to get on pole position, though, and John McCutcheon starting from second for the second race in a row. So let's see how it turns out for him this time. Jamie Bird in third, Simon Edwards right directly behind his championship rival in fourth. Then it is Paul Clark running up the top five, James Child sixth, David Rolliston seventh, ahead of Mike Bousson, then Dan Webster and Luke Maxwell sharing row 5, very important there. Robert Woodward will be 11th ahead of Paul Crabb, who will be hoping to start at the right time this time. Phil Jocelyn's 13th, then Sergio De La Cruz in 14th, Seth Brown, Darrell Taylor, Martina Ward and Phil Glover, your 18 drivers for what is going to be a very, very big race in the course of this championship. Race 2 at Oulton Park, 17 laps ahead of us. Damien G on the front row. It's a much better start from John McCutcheon, though. Damien G's gone nowhere off the start. McCutcheon with a dream, and it's Simon Edwards into second place. The two championship contenders in the reverse grid race, already 1 and 2. As Phil Jocelyn finds himself off the road, I think that might have been Sergio De La Cruz who's found himself down the order as well as a result of a poor start. There he is. David Rolliston must have been involved as well. There is a bit of a split in the field, as there has been chaos in the second half of it, but Webster has made it through. Where is Luke Maxwell? He is 11th. He has dropped a place off at the start.
Yeah, he did. The Damien G just didn't go anywhere. Nothing. He almost lost it in that second phase of it, and he just didn't move the car. It was just incredible. He just literally bunged up, stopped, went, and now he's battling all the way down in 8th, -7, and they're only halfway around the track. And poor Damien G. I thought he was going to do so much better from pole.
It's such a shame. But when you got McCutcheon alongside you, it's always going to be difficult anyway. Paul Crabb with 3 places made up already on this start, and he's looking for another one at Druids. Not going to get one as Luke Maxwell's making moves down the inside of Robert Woodward. That is aggressive, but he's made it work, and he's going to have to go onto the defence into the final corner slightly, but he retains the top 10. Damien G outbreaks himself. I'm afraid it's a disaster of a first lap for him. Paul Crabb goes through. It looks like Luke Maxwell's going to follow him through as well.
Yeah, poor Damien G has not done well on the opening laps here at all, unfortunately for him. He's gone down the order. He's literally down 9. He's almost in a broken elevator and hasn't got any brakes, and he's literally just going down the floors. He's up again, another place. He's going down and gushing. Poor Damien G.
He is being put through. It's like putting yourself in a washing machine and just going round and round, because that's what he's feeling right now. 12th place for Damien G. Darrell Taylor's through as Jamie Bird's off at turn 5 with Paul Crabb maybe. I think they're unrelated. Well, they certainly are genetically. Anyway, I mean the incidents, of course. Paul Crabb off on his own, and I think Jamie Bird was as well, because he was further around the corner at the time, so I'm going to guess they were separate there in that one, but unfortunate for both, because they were running well, and it's given Luke Maxwell 2 free positions there.
Yeah, he definitely made right. They were unrelated, and they are unrelated in life as well. All right, so just be aware.
You know, I'm clear though.
Yeah. So if somebody wants to make a clip of the fact that Ewan there was talking about genetics in a radical SR10 race, whether or not they.
No, I was getting distracted. Really. I was just trying to make sure people don't get the right idea. Anyway, Dan Webster down the inside of James Child. That was a nice move actually into the final corner. He's made it work. At 4th place for him now, but the top 2 are absolutely away. Luke Maxwell closing in as well, as Mike Bousson is going to fight with James Child as well. We're starting to see this race just settle down a little bit, although I did get to this point in the sprint race as well, and it turned out to be a really, really chaotic race by the end. So let's see how this one transpires and see if everybody can get slowed up for turn 5 in time. They do, but a bit of a mad start. Hopefully settles down a little bit now, but the top 2 certainly away.
Yeah, they've broken away. It's about a 2.2 second gap at the moment. But the interesting thing for me in this one is this gentleman. Paul Clark from Highland Racing, one of the primary sponsors here of HPE Automotive as well. So go and check them out. All links are in the description, guys. I do have the pleasure of going up there on Saturday, so I'm really looking forward to that one. I know my kids are coming with me and they're looking forward to it as well because of the sims that Paul has got. But how is Dan going to approach this, Ewan? Because we know who he's behind, don't we?
He is the brick wall. We need to start calling him, I think, because Paul Clark is unpassable at times, and Oulton Park is only going to make Paul Clark's reputation grow, I think, in being an unpassable driver. It is difficult to pass here anyway, but Paul Clark is one of the best at keeping another driver behind, even if he isn't quite as quick as them, which has happened quite a lot of times so far, especially in these reverse grid races. He has kept faster drivers behind him for frustrating amounts of time if you are the driver behind. Dan Webster on the move now, maybe looking up the inside at turn 5. It is a brave one if you're going for that, and he decided not to, but it is a good run out of there, and now into Knickerbrook. There may be a chance here. Slipstream for Webster. He has got a bit of extra straight line speed as well. Gets very close to the back of Paul Clark. He's on the outside line though, going into the fastest corner on the circuit. Surely this can't work. He's going to brake later. He's going to go round the outside. He's going to drive the car in harder, and he has made it work. Paul Clark probably can't believe his eyes. Dan Webster is through, and he's going to consolidate it into Druids as well. That was a really nice move.
Oh, I did not think that was going to work. I thought that was it. When Webster went in, hotter than a hot potato, I tell you, I didn't think he was going to stop that car, but he managed to get out on the brakes. He got it stopped and did an absolutely stellar job in going past Clark there, because he needed to as well, Ewan, didn't he? He can't allow the guys to get too far in front, and that's Joe just lost the move to Buson.
Yeah, there's Buson in the inside at turn 1, and Luke Maxwell's going to try and follow through the best he can. Down the hill towards Cascades, not quite going to go down the inside at turn 3. He's going to have to wait a little bit longer, maybe do something similar to what Dan Webster just did, although it is very, very difficult to replicate, as we've seen so far. Looking backwards now from Buson onto that fight between Child and Maxwell, who sticks his nose, in the mirrors a little bit at least, but not necessarily down the inside. This could become a difficult race from now, and it's settled down a little bit, and this means it's going to be harder for Maxwell to overtake now.
Yeah, I think now Luke is under the cosh. He's got to try and do something in this short period of time. He's got 12 laps, which is great, but he's got to be making moves, otherwise he's not going to get them. He's not going to get to Webster, he's not going to get to Edwards, he's not going to get to McHutchison, and that's a tall order already. You know, he's got other cars to pass.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to get there at all. The best he can hope for already, I think, is 4th, as he goes down the inside of James Child for 6th place at least. He is gaining points. There's another one, another 1 point, but still, with the way the point system works, he's still losing about 15 to McHutchinson, and that will pretty much wipe away the sprint race win he's just had. In terms of the points he gained there, a 12-point championship lead can evaporate very, very quickly in the Radical Race Series with the format we have these days. You are never, ever safe in the championship lead. Now it is still Paul Clark on the front, but Buson has got Maxwell behind him. As you can see right now, we're looking backwards from the diffuser of the 3rd place man from the first race. Looking at the provisional championship leader. But he does need some more points, and he needs some more places to retain that championship lead through the end of round 9.
Where's he going to get it from? That's what I don't get. Like, he's got Buson, that's no slouch. Clark, that guy might as well have a builder attached to his rear wing building a wall. You know, now he's got Child on it as well. Maxwell is under the cosh. He's got to decide, am I just going to send this? Am I going to Verstappen it? Or what's the situation? Because he can't sit back for much longer, because look where they are. He's almost currently 8 seconds back from McHutchinson. He's got to go, and he's got to go soon, but he just can't go soon enough. There's just no room for him to go anywhere.
Well, Clark defended into the final corner there, and he was defending thin air a little bit, but he's done well again. Buson with no opportunity to head down the inside at turn 1, as he did on James Child a couple of laps ago, although he's still close down the hill at 2 and 3. It's almost getting so close that something has to give here almost, because there's so much nervous energy almost in this group that something's going to happen soon. into turn 4. They're going to fly through the left-hander. Downforce pinning you to the road. Inside line for Paul Clark as he goes on the defensive again, using the banking of the hairpin to really throw it in late on the brakes. Out of the corner, the exit there is really what you need. Luke Maxwell's probably got the best of it, but with Bousson getting slipstream from the car in front, his life is going to be made very difficult. Here we go, defence, inside line for Maxwell, although he's going to have to back out once again.
Oh, Bousson's gone wide.
Oh.
He's lost 2, Child and Maxwell. Now Maxwell's turn to have a go at Clark. Oh, good luck.
It's forever the best way to overtake. Just wait for the car in front to make a mistake, and there you go. Luke Maxwell through, and that's, Bousson's going to be kicking himself about that, really.
Yeah, it was definitely his own. He can't sit back and tell anyone else it was anything different. It was all on his own. Ran wide into Knickerbrook, and unfortunately for him, he's lost it, but he is trying to go up. Whoa!
Oh. That was aggressive. That was a driver trying to make up for lost time there, and you've got to be careful that making up for lost time doesn't create more lost time, if you see what I mean. Because that very much could have done with an incident in towards turn number 1. Still 10 laps to go, including this one, by the way. This is by far the closest and arguably most important, interesting battle we have on the circuit right now. It's certainly the only train remaining of more than 2 cars, although there is a little one developing for 12th place right now. Luke Maxwell, though, right on the back of the impossible to overtake Paul Clark up towards Knickerbrook. He does look a little bit weak on the straight line speed, does Clark, and Maxwell's going to be forced to head to the outside line. Oh, he thought about it, he really gave it a good think there, but he can't risk a championship making a move like that.
Then again, are we talking about what we spoke about before when we said about low downforce, high downforce? Are you going to look for that, being able to control the car through the corners and sacrifice that little bit on a terribly hard circuit to overtake anyway? Or are you running Maxwell where you're looking to go a little bit faster? I think Clark's on a downforce session, I've got to be honest.
Yeah, it looks like it. Although it is hard to know, because you've got to remember that Maxwell's benefit from the slipstream, and he will be quite significantly. It's not a it's not a short, flat-out section there. I know it's got rises and falls, and it's not even straight, but it is a long, flat-out section where you will gain a lot from slipstream. And Luke Maxwell is certainly gaining right now, right on the back in towards turn 4, but there's nowhere really to go here.
They're going to go up.
Here we go, up the inside. Oh, dear me, there's a lock-up, and Maxwell goes up off the road, up the banking, onto the grass. He's not found the wall, but he has dropped to 7th.
Oh, that was so late. Such a late go. I've got to look at that again. That was so late for Maxwell. And I'm going to do it here. Oh, just can't get back far enough. Can we go back any further? Possibly here. Oh.
It's very close. It's a late one.
Yeah, but he didn't do an Edwards. He kept it out, didn't he?
It was a little bit desperate, but and I'm surprised he made it either as well, to be fair. I'm surprised he even decided to go for that there. But he did, and might well pay for it, because he has just dropped a couple of points in that one. By the way, if McCutcheon were to win this race,
Webster's
and
round.
Sorry, Webster's around, and James Child has dropped a place to Mike Bousson as well. So Dan Webster has just spun out of 3rd place. A very, very important mistake from Dan Webster. He may be kissing his championship chances goodbye with that very mistake, as Luke Maxwell's just turned up the aggression to 11. Inside line at turn 4. He's through now into 5th again.
Yeah, he's going to go again once more at Bousson. Webster went in too hot in turn 1 and went around after that as well. But now we're back. Bousson lost a position. He went to the back of the pack. Maxwell's lost the positions. He's gone back to the back. And now they've gone back round again. And Bousson's now at the front trying to have another go at Clark. And to what LeMay just said, he said, can Clark hold out? Well, it's looking more and more likely as the laps go later and later, because he's doing a stellar job. Absolute stellar.
Yeah, unbelievable. And an unbelievable race as well, by the way. This is now the battle for the podium. Dan Webster's clinging on here. He might be able to get involved. Daryl Taylor's making an appearance as well. You can see him maybe trying to skittle everyone over later on. We'll wait and see. Sorry.
Love that.
But hopefully not. Paul Clark, though, is going to certainly try and hang on for third. You've got to feel, though, for Dan Webster with that mistake out of turn one.
Yeah, that's easily done, though, and I can guarantee if I look it back at it, he's going to go too far into one. He's either going to hit the inside curb or he's going to run wide, right? That's generally what's going to happen, and he's going to get on the throttle on the curb, and around he goes. But it's here. Maxwell can't afford to do this again. Oh, Bouson's done it.
He nearly is. Bouson's gone, though. Bousson locks up. He's into the grass. He's into the wall as well. Oh, it's such a costly one for Mike Bousson. He won't be seeing a repeat podium from what he got in the sprint race. Maxwell's up to 4th place. It's a free pass, basically. And he's back to where he was, only 2 laps after making that mistake.
Maxwell scared him into that mistake, right? He come down on the inside of that hairpin, didn't he? He almost said to Bousson, I'm going to send it. Bousson didn't turn, spent more time worrying about where he was going to brake, outbraked himself, and that was Maxwell setting him up. And that is what he did to him. He set him up, and unfortunately for Bousson, he fell for it and made that mistake. That was unbelievable driving from Maxwell there. He set Bousson up to make that mistake going into that hairpin, and he definitely did do it.
Well, this is the most pressure Paul Clark has been under so far. Here we go, Luke Maxwell inside line. There's, very nearly contact between the two of them. But Luke Maxwell just about keeps it out the side of Paul Clark, who is proving his worth as the grid's best defender once again. Great job from him. This is now for a podium. They're losing so much time, by the way, but Luke Maxwell doesn't really care. 3rd place is the best he can get in this race. He's making absolutely sure he can try and get it at least.
He's trying to do it cleanly, and he just can't. He can't do it. The problem is Maxwell Clark's entry into Cascades is really quite wide. Maxwell looks to go up the inside, and then thinks better of it, because then Clark just comes along and takes him off. He's like a plastic surgeon doing a nose job on him straight away, you know. And Maxwell's got to pick this, because there's 2 entry points for Clark that he runs wide. He takes a very wide line, Shell Oils, and then down into Druids as well. So he's got to be careful.
Very nearly went for it at Druids there, did Luke Maxwell, as Clark's gone wide there, and he's going to immediately have to go defensive into the final corner. Luke Maxwell, nearly headed down the inside line. Clark just staying in the middle of the road, covering off his options just a little bit, but it does mean that his exit onto the front straight won't be as good, although Maxwell couldn't quite capitalise maybe as much as he wanted. He's going to have to wait a little bit longer. By the way, if the race were to end right now, John McCutcheon and Luke Maxwell would be level on points after 9 rounds. Unbelievable. And Simon Edwards would only be 9 points back. We are seeing an unbelievable championship situation developing in front of our eyes right now. Unfortunately, Dan Webster slipping away a little bit, although he is still 6th after getting through on Bousson with that mistake. Here comes Maxwell. He can't do it into turn 5. Maybe he has learned his lesson.
He's had to, because he done it again, Clark. He ran wide into 5. He ran wide into 1. He gave Maxwell that indecision. Maxwell's got to do it. He's got to do it. Knickerbrook side by side. Here we go. Here we go. This is going to be all or nothing. He's done it. He's done it. He got through.
Oh, he's done it! Unbelievable! Round the outside of Knickerbrook, the fastest corner on the circuit. We said you can't go around the outside there. You're going to find yourself in the wall. Maxwell very well could have done. He could have seen his championship slip through his fingers right there and then, but he put it all on the line. He risked it all, and he's got his rewards. A podium place for Luke Maxwell, and what a drive it's been.
Yeah, and hats off to Clark for about 4 or 5, if not more laps than that. He kept that 4. Maxwell Bousson, Child behind him, and he's done a stellar job. And now he's got Child and Webster. Webster's climbing all over Child, faster than a baby monkey picking fleas out of his mother, I'll tell you that much. And now Webster's got through, and now he's going to have a go at Clark. Oh, poor Paul Clark.
Yeah, absolutely. Although he's not going to be easy to overtake, and poor James Child as well, by the way, he's been overtaken about 1 million times in this race. He still finds himself in 6th place because people keep coming off in front of him. He gains another place again. So fair play to him for keeping on going on, and Daryl Taylor just watching on in envy in 7th place as well at the great battle that's happening in front, but he just hasn't been able to involve himself with it. Still 3 laps to go at the line. It is a quite remarkable race here in the Radical Race Series, round 9 at Oulton Park. What a fantastic event we have seen. It's difficult to overtake when you've got a reverse grid, when you've got these cars. You've got all the ingredients for an amazing evening of racing, and that's exactly what we've had. What drama we've had. Luke Maxwell getting himself away from it now, but I'm sure this conversation for 4th place isn't over yet.
Oh boy, is it not. Webster is going to close in on Clark, and he's going to do it as these laps go on. But the problem is we're at 15 now. He's got 16, 17, and then that's it. He hasn't got an opportunity. The problem is Clark just kept Maxwell behind him for about a good 5 or 6 laps, plus with Buson, plus with Child. Yeah, they made mistakes. Yeah, they slipped up. Yeah, they couldn't get through. But it can't take Webster 5 or 6 laps, Ewan. He hasn't got 5 or 6 laps. He's got 3, and he's got to do it. Oh, I don't know where he's going to do it, though.
No, I don't know where he's going to do it either. And by the looks of things, he is going to lose points today. Almost whatever happens in this one now, he is going to avoid using a drop round. I'm very sure about that, actually. But he is going to drop more points, and maybe... well, he might stay roughly where he was before, but he's not gaining points as he really needs to start doing so. Coming into today, 25 points away from the championship lead, in search of his 2nd title, of course. Paul Clark trying to stop him getting those extra 2 points that he so dearly wants right now. Out of Druids and towards Lodge Corner on the 3rd last lap. We're about to go on to the penultimate one. And as he said, Dan Webster really hasn't got much time here.
No, he's got not a lot of nothing. And that might be the simplest way to put it. He's got not a lot of nothing time left to try and clear the immovable object that is Paul Clark off his line. And that's where Clark does that. See that wide line he takes into Cascades to try and get the slingshot out? Gives the guy behind so much indecision because you just don't know what he's going to do. But if you ain't alongside, you're not going to get the room, buddy, I'm afraid. You know, that's the way it is. If you ain't there, you ain't getting it, and Clark's not going to give it to you.
Well, I have to say, at the start of this event, I did fear slightly about the overtaking opportunities and just how good of a race we will see around here, but it's been absolutely fantastic so far and might not be over yet as Dan Webster pulls alongside. Paul Clark might have to back out of this one, but he's got the inside line, and it's Webster who has to back out of it, although Clark goes wide, slightly in the grass at Nickelbrook, and he's going to make his way through in towards Druids, is he? Dan Webster with maybe a chance, but he can't quite do it on the penultimate lap. He is going to have to do it with the last chance on the last lap.
Do you know what I love about Paul Clark, right? He's in that car going, do you know what? I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're leading the championship. I don't care if you're in the fight with it. I'm not letting you past. And that's it. That's racing. And that is summed up by Paul Clark. That's the spirit of what he's racing. He's going to make this driver work for it. Webster has got to work. How is he going to do it on the last lap? Oh, no, not like that.
Oh, no.
Oh.
Paul Clark, and I think he's reached the incident limit, Paul Clark, quite possibly, not sure. He may have been disqualified there for the incident limit, but Dan Webster's clattered into him. He is still 7th, but he's going to drop further. Such heartbreak for Dan Webster, who really had nowhere to go there.
Let's have a look and see.
Such a shame. Here it is.
Oh.
Yeah, just loses it really. Just slides and tries to lock the brakes just to straighten the car back up again. And unfortunately, Dan Webster had absolutely nowhere to go there at all. I mean, he's committed to a corner at that point. There's absolutely no way he can back out. Meanwhile, John McCutchinson recovers from sprint race misery for a feature race win here at Oulton Park. Simon Edwards, 2nd place, picks up a nice few points and will remain in the championship hunt as Luke Maxwell completes a heroic drive to 3rd place. James Child and Darrell Taylor find themselves in the top 5. I don't know if I've ever seen anybody overtaken so many times and still finish 4th, but James Child has just managed it. A great drive from him ahead of Darrell Taylor, but what a race we have just seen. It's got to be up there for one of the races of the season.
Oh, I tell you what, that was unbelievable. My chair, I've been off my chair, on my chair, off my chair. My chair's gone sliding across the floor. I've not been able to keep still on this one, but I am gutted gutted from the man from Lounge Racing. He was doing a stellar job for Paul Clark, and Ghost locks up into Cascades. Webster would know where to go, and it just all goes wrong. And such a shame. He was doing a mountain job. Yeah, he might have been close to the incident limit. Who cares when you can drive like that? It was incredible driving.
It was really, really entertaining stuff. Thoroughly enjoyable. And what a race we have just seen. John McCutcheon didn't see any of it. He won, though. He won't care. Simon Edwards second. Luke Maxwell, really the hero of the day, quite possibly in third place. James Child getting overtaken a lot, but still fourth. And Darrell Taylor sneaking into the top five. Mike Poussey with that late mistake. He'll be ruining there a little bit because he could have had a podium, quite possibly. Robert Woodward seventh, then of Damien G. He recovered well, actually, after a disastrous first lap. Seth Brown and Dan Webster round out your top 10. Then it's Sergio De La Cruz and Phil Glover found his way into 12th. Martina Ward with a much better race 2 here to find herself 13th. Then Jamie Bird 14th. Paul Clark, unfortunately, a lap down, couldn't finish the last lap. David Rolliston found himself a lap down, and Paul Cram and Phil Jocelyn also found themselves laps down by the end of it. As I mentioned, though, John McCutcheon didn't see any of that.
No, not one bit. He didn't have a clue what was going on. He didn't care what was going on behind him at all. He just drove his race, didn't he? And he did it.
Yep.
Incredible. Absolutely incredible. But we've got some people waiting in the booth for you, Ewan. We'll start off with the third place man of Luke Maxwell in to the booth for you. So here we go. There's Luke, Ewan.
We'll try and do it. Yeah, here we go. Luke Maxwell, welcome to the booth. Did you enjoy that as much as we did?
Oh, it was fantastic. That was one of the most fun races.
Yeah.
Trying to unlock the nut that is Paul Clark.
Yeah, he is difficult to overtake. It was an absolutely enthralling road through where we were sat, and you were providing most of the entertainment. You mentioned it there. Paul Clark, famously difficult to overtake, but I guess that might have been compounded by this circuit a little bit, really.
Yeah, definitely. It's not a track for to make overtaking easy. So the feature race was always going to be tough. But I was thinking, well, I'll go out nice and easy the first 5 laps, and keep the tyres good, and then I can push later on. And then I had a little moment of madness just before the start and realised I was in reverse instead of first, and missed the start by about half a second, I think. So that was dropped me back a few places. That didn't help.
Yeah, I did wonder, actually. You did find yourself outside the top 10 early on, and you very nearly found yourself in an accident, I'm just finding out. Actually, we were just watching a replay of the start there. But anyway, you found your way through it.
Hope I didn't cause it.
No, you didn't cause it, no. I'm glad to report. But what about the first race, just to wind back to it? I mean, was it a case of just kind of getting in the lead and getting your head down and just going for it, really? Was it as simple as that?
I'd practiced my sort of 10 lap pace, and thought, I'm nearly carrying sort of qualifying speed there, so I should be okay. I didn't actually match that pace in the race, unfortunately, but it was good. It was good enough. Got a good gap at the start, and got a bit lucky, obviously, with Simon and John. Was it early on, and then obviously I had a bit of a gap. I made one mistake. I think Dan was catching me for a moment, but just kept my head down and managed to pull a gap again.
Now, by my slightly average calculations, you're going to have a 3-point championship lead at the end of today, ahead of John. So Simon 9 points back, maybe a couple more, don't know. Somewhere around there, though. What are you expecting from the final 3 races, though? Because I have to say, in my time commentating on the Radical Race Series, this is the best championship fight I've seen. Yeah,
I think I definitely got off to a slow start this season. I had a couple of bad races, but you've got the 3 drop rounds, so I kind of thought that. But I think that the second half of the season, the tracks definitely suited me more. So it was a case of just trying to, let's bide my time and do as well as I can. And obviously everyone's trying to do the same thing, right? It's it's tough. It's tough, and it's a great battle. I like it's racing these guys is great fun. So bring it on.
Yeah, I don't know if you know this, but you're 3 of your first 4 rounds are your drop rounds. So I guess you might not be surprised to learn that, I suppose.
It kind of keeps the pressure on for the rest of them, doesn't it? Not to make any mistakes. Yeah.
Certainly does. Anyway, Luke, congratulations on entertaining us so much here this evening. It's been fantastic. Cheers, from where we've been. And
I'll
congratulations
go watch it back.
on the results as well.
Cheers.
Thanks very much, Luke Maxwell, third place, and certainly my driver of the day, just for the pure entertainment factor there. To be quite honest with you, very entertaining indeed. Should we work our way up the grid today in terms of up the podium? Why not? I suppose.
Yeah.
In terms of the race 2 order, so that would bring us to Simon Edwards next. I know he's not been waiting very long, but we'll bring him in. Simon, welcome to the booth. Second place in race 2. How are you feeling after that round, really? We didn't see an awful lot of you, to be honest, but 7th and 2nd, success or are you disappointed?
I couldn't find the pace. I'd only had 1 day practice. I'm an old man, so I need about 8 days out of every 7 to come up to speed. I only practiced yesterday evening, and I got a base set up in. So I was, to be honest with you, my ambitions was to be top 5 both races. And if I could beat Dan, Luke, or John, or etc., then that would have been a good result. So I'm taking it as a good result. I'm just really annoyed with myself for the first race by locking up into the hairpin and then driving
That's what happened.
a rather bent car. Yeah.
We didn't see the initial off for you in the first race, but yeah. It was anyway. You recovered 7th place in the first one, 2nd in the second race. Is it? What about the final 3 circuits? Are they kind of circuits you feel a bit better about maybe going forwards?
To be honest with you, this is one of my better circuits normally.
Okay.
And Red Bull Ring's not bad. So I've just lost a bit of pace. So I'm just going to hang on, not let it get to me, and just go for the last 2 races. I can't remember what the next race is. Can you remind me?
Legacy Silverstone circuit.
Yes.
Oh dear. All right. Okay.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
I've got to say I'm looking forward to it, but maybe you don't sound like you are.
No, it's just Silverstone. I'm not a big fan of a big flat circuit like that. It's okay for a
not even with the bridge.
Oh, yeah. I'll have to. I know what you mean, because it's into Bridge Corner, isn't it? Sort of the old style. So I won't condemn it before I check it. But it's going to be a bit challenging if we've got Maggots and Beckett's and pretty long straight through to the Bridge Corner, because you don't know what downforce to put on. So that might be interesting from your point of view, from a commentator's point of view.
Oh yeah, I'm very much looking forward to it. Just a quick one as well. Out of all your time here in the Radical Race Series, you've obviously got quite a few seasons under your belt now. Is this the best championship fight you've been involved in?
Yeah, no, I love this format generally. Whenever I come into a format like this, I just love the format. And yeah, I would say yes from that point of view, because we're always racing somebody at some point in the race. Or in my case, I'm just avoiding somebody on the grid.
Yes, that does seem to be a recurring theme. But Simon, congratulations on your drives here tonight, and we look forward to seeing you again next week at Silverstone.
Yeah, see you then. Thank you.
Cheers. Simon Edwards, 2nd place in the second race, 7th in the first, and we're going to bring in the winner from race 2 as well. John McCutchinson, now 2nd in the championship, but 1st in race 2. John, welcome to the booth. I've got to ask you as well, by the way, what happened to the practice before the race? Did you actually get any done?
Yeah, I got about an hour's done, had a private session. And just had a late entry. So
I thought I
did get some tweaks done.
Sorry to interrupt. I thought I was starting a real rumour when I said you were practicing privately, but it turns out to be true. So there we are. Did it help very much? I mean, you started very well in qualifying. Did it feel any different this time to how it does normally, or are you just used to the no practice these days?
I had a decent setup, a base setup to work from, so I just had to soften it a little and adjust some of the arbs, and it was fine. And just doing laps in and getting up to pace, and then I screwed up race 1.
Yeah, unfortunate. You finished down in P9. Obviously helped you for race 2, but just tell us a little bit about the incident in race 1. Just what happened?
It's very simple. Forgot to select the gear and just Didn't go anywhere.
Nice. It certainly didn't help. And then, of course, at turn 4 as well, a bit of crash cutting sent you a little bit further back. But at least you got back to the top 10 to benefit from the reverse grid. And I guess we were having a great time watching race 2. We didn't watch you very much at all in that one. I guess you didn't really know what was going on behind you. You were just keeping your head down, driving yourself.
No, the only thing I noticed was Dan Webster disappeared. Yeah, he was in third or fourth, and then he wasn't. So they said he spun at turn 2. But looking back up, and Simon was always keeping me on the pace. Comfortable in the end.
It was. What about Silverstone next week? Just a quick final one. How are you feeling about that one?
Yeah, it's the old legacy track, isn't it? Which is just flat out, more or less, all the way around. That should be good fun. But I think it'll be a bit of a procession again. Difficult overtaking the old track.
It could well be, yeah. Let's hope not for us. I hope not. But let's see how it goes. John, congratulations on race 2 victory here tonight, and we look forward to seeing you again next week.
Thanks, Ewan.
Thanks very much. John McCutchinson, victorious again in the Radical Race Series in the feature. We're going to find ourselves a little bit further down the order now. There's your podium drivers. We're going to bring in Dan Webster now, a man who we feel very sorry for, and I'm sure many of us will agree. Dan, welcome to the booth. Shame to have you under slightly more unfortunate circumstances than maybe we were hoping for. A story of a couple of things not going your way, really, in race 2, unfortunately. Just tell us a little bit about, firstly, the spin, and then, unfortunately, the last lap as well.
Yeah, no need to feel sorry for me. I did the spin all by myself. I was just cruising along, looking forward to getting a second and a third, and just fell off somehow. And yeah, actually, I thought I might get that third back because Paul and Luke were fighting really hard, and I thought they're bound to crash. But they didn't, unfortunately, and in the end, I crashed into Paul. So it was eventful, but it was fun. It's a great race.
I was going to ask, did you at least have a good time? Because we had a fantastic time watching. I guess it was at least entertainment. Even if it wasn't the result you wanted, it was entertaining.
Yeah, it was brilliant. Yeah, it was really, really good. And I keep telling people to use a clutch pedal, but I seem to be the only one that can start the car at the moment, which is also good.
Well, yeah, we've seen a lot of that at the moment. What about Silverstone heading forward? It's the 2008 version, by the way, which is a scarily long time ago that we had the bridge, but whatever. How are you feeling about that layout and that track next week?
Yeah, I like Silverstone a lot. I would have preferred the current circuit, but I like the old one as well. So yeah, I look forward to that. Should be good.
And a quick last one: your championship aspirations, are they still very much there?
Yeah. Hopefully this week hasn't put too much of a dent in it, but according to the league page, which takes into account drop weeks, I'm still right up there. So yeah, hopefully
Let's
I
hope
can
so.
get a decent result.
Yeah, let's hope so.
I need
Look forward to
I
seeing
need
you
a few
again.
better races.
Yeah, maybe a little bit. Look forward to seeing you again next week, Dan. And thanks for chatting to us.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Thanks very much. Dan Webster, 10th place in race 2, a little bit better in race 1. Needs those points, of course, to stay involved in the championship, which he still, of course, is. One final driver to chat to, as we do every week. Phil Glover joins us. Phil, welcome to the booth.
Hi, Ian.
Shame to see you off in race 1, but had a bit of a better race 2. How was your evening overall?
Well, I think I'm going to have an appointment with the stewards for race 1 because I ended up, I was under pressure as John was coming up in my mirrors on that first corner, wasn't I? So I span off there, and I thought I could probably get up the Perry track back into the pits. So I went up there and then reversed back into the pits, but it caught me out, disqualified me. The second race, well, of course, not doing very well in the first race, put me at the back. But I think I finished 12th, and just looking at the times, I did a 1:18.896, which the quickest time was a 1:18.163. So, yeah, not too bad. I just couldn't make any progress on the cars in front, though, to be honest.
Yeah, it was always going to be very difficult to make moves. We spoke a little bit before the race, and you said you actually planted the idea in my head actually about different wing angles, and and who's going to be high downforce, who's going to be low downforce. Was that really noticeable throughout the race? Was there a consensus as to most people have gone for one or the other? What was the situation?
I'm not terribly sure, to be honest. I think I haven't heard anybody talking about almost zero wing. I think people would have definitely run, probably 3 or 4 wing the lowest. I ran a 6 in the end. I started off with an 8 at the back and then went to a 6 because I found I wasn't losing any time through the corners, but I was gaining a fraction down the straight. So, yeah, it's one of those things, isn't it? Really difficult to overtake unless you're one of the star guys who can, really push those opportunities, really.
Yeah, it was certainly an entertaining night of racing. There's no doubt about that. Phil, great to have you in the booth once again, and we look forward to chatting to you again next week.
Yeah, absolute pleasure. Look forward to it. You take care.
And don't forget to find out who the man is on the front of your car, Phil.
Yeah, have a look at that. I just picked it because I've always liked orange, so you got me worried now, just in case it's.
Mate, that's the first time I've spotted you got 2 guys hanging on each wing.
Yeah, there is.
Right, okay.
I wonder if they've been there for longer than we know.
Maybe we haven't noticed.
Yeah, maybe.
Somebody's gone in the pits and sprayed something on the front of it. I wasn't looking. You never know with these crowd.
No, absolutely not. Phil, we'll see you next week. Thanks very much for chatting to us again.
Yeah, take care. Cheers, guys.
See you. Thanks very much. Phil Glover chatting to us. Let's it could turn quite nasty. Let's see who's on the front of this car. Let's hope not, though. But great spirit again among the drivers once again after a great night of racing.
Yeah, you can't. I don't race very often, right? And when I do, it's on a Monday. And whoever asked me, how did I get on Monday? Well, it didn't go too well. I crashed 3 times out of 3. And I might add, not under my own, it wasn't my own fault. But I don't care who you are in that race, right? You must have enjoyed that. That racing was incredible. They absolutely smashed it. And yeah, race of the season, easily. Race of the season. That's it, really.
Yeah, it absolutely was. Thoroughly enjoyable. I hope you enjoyed it at home as well. And we have a very, very interesting championship situation developing. John McCutcheon picked up 52 points today, while Luke Maxwell picked up 56. So now takes a 3-point championship lead, as far as I'm aware. 49 points went the way of Simon Edwards, so he drops a further 7 points behind. He's 13 points now behind Luke Maxwell, as far as I know. That's quick mental maths in my head, by the way, so that might be wrong. We'll update you next week what the actual standings are when somebody proper has done the proper maths with a proper calculator. I hope, anyway. So make sure you join us next week. Pleasure to be on once again here on the JPB channel. Don't forget to subscribe and watch all the other racing that's going on, not least on a Thursday night, by the way, which this is not the only racing going on tonight, but pretty much every night we've got racing on. So make sure you have a look around and stay tuned. But for now, that's it from us. Hope that my lead commentary wasn't too off-putting. And I hope you enjoyed the racing. I've been Ewan O'Leary, James Parfitt alongside me here on the JPB channel. Until we see you next week for more Radical Race Series action from Silverstone, it's goodbye for now.